At 70 years old, life slows down, but choices become more important than ever. One of the biggest decisions is whether to live alone and embrace full independence or move in with family for love, support, and companionship. But which one truly leads to a happier, more fulfilling life? To understand this, let's explore two different paths, one of solitude and independence and the other of family and togetherness. Through real and emotional stories, we'll uncover the hidden joys and challenges of both choices. The case for living alone, freedom or loneliness. James's quiet life, the beauty and isolation of independence. James was 70 when he made a bold decision. After his wife passed away, he had two choices: move in with his daughter's family or live alone in the house he and his wife built decades ago. He chose the latter. At first, it felt liberating. He could wake up whenever he wanted, eat whatever he liked, and spend his afternoons tending to his garden without interruption. Every morning, he sat by the window with his coffee, enjoying the peaceful silence. He spent his days reading, going for walks, and occasionally visiting his old friends. "I've lived for others all my life," he often told himself. "Now it's time to live for me." But as the seasons changed, so did James's feelings. The silence, once comforting, became deafening. His phone rarely rang, and while he enjoyed his independence, he started noticing the long, empty evenings. The holidays were the hardest. Thanksgiving used to be filled with laughter, but now it was just another day. The warmth of family dinners was replaced with a microwave meal and a quiet TV playing in the background. Studies show that elderly individuals who live alone are at a higher risk of depression, anxiety, and even early death. According to Harvard research, social isolation can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. While James enjoyed his solitude, he didn't realize how deeply loneliness could creep into his life. One day, after a fall in the kitchen that left him stranded for hours, James finally questioned his choice. Was independence worth the loneliness and potential risk? The case for living with family, love, or loss of freedom? Margaret's new purpose, the power of togetherness. Margaret, 75, took the opposite path. After her husband passed, her daughter invited her to move in. At first, Margaret was hesitant. She didn't want to feel like a burden, and she valued her privacy. But after much thought, she agreed. Her days transformed. Instead of waking up alone, she woke up to the sound of her grandkids running through the house. Instead of eating alone, she enjoyed home-cooked meals with her daughter's family. She no longer felt forgotten. She was needed. She helped around the house, shared stories with her grandchildren, and felt a renewed sense of purpose. "I thought I would feel like an outsider, but instead I found a new family within my own family," she said. For Margaret, staying with family wasn't about needing care, it was about staying connected, and science backs this up. Studies show that elderly people who live in multi-generational homes tend to live longer, have lower stress levels, and maintain better mental health. However, not every story of living with family is so perfect. William's silent struggle. When family feels like a burden. William, 78, moved in with his son's family after his health started to decline. He thought it would be a time of bonding and joy, but reality was different. "I felt like I was in the way," he admitted. "They were kind, but they had their own lives. I missed my old routines, my independence." While his family provided for him, he often felt like an afterthought. He struggled to adapt to the household's busy schedule. He hesitated to voice his needs, afraid of being a burden. Some nights, he sat in his room, feeling lonelier than when he lived alone. This is the biggest risk of living with family. If the relationship isn't built on mutual respect and open communication, it can lead to feelings of isolation even within a full house. Finding a balance, the best of both worlds. Linda's smart choice. A bridge between independence and family. Linda, 74, refused to choose between complete independence and moving in with family. Instead, she found a middle ground, downsizing her home and moving into a senior-friendly community near her daughter. "I have my space, my routine, but I'm never truly alone. If I need help, my daughter's just 10 minutes away. And I've made friends here who understand what I'm going through." For many, the best solution isn't choosing one extreme. It's finding a balance. Senior communities, co-housing with close friends, or living independently near family can offer the perfect mix of freedom and companionship. The emotional and psychological angle, the unspoken fears, the weight of loneliness, a silent struggle. Imagine waking up in the morning to a house filled with nothing but silence. The clock ticks on the wall, the refrigerator hums softly, and the world outside moves forward. But inside, everything feels frozen in time. You make your morning coffee just like you have for decades, but there's no one to share it with, no partner to chat with, no children running around, no familiar voice calling your name. This is the reality for millions of older adults who live alone. At first, independence feels like a blessing. You can do what you want, when you want, without answering to anyone. But as the years pass, solitude becomes something different, a quiet emptiness that grows heavier with time. Take Richard, for example. A retired teacher, he was always surrounded by students, colleagues, and friends. When he retired, he thought he would enjoy the peace, but he never expected how lonely it would get. At first, I loved it, he recalled. I could sleep in, read all the books I never had time for, and take long walks. But then, the phone stopped ringing. My friends had their own families. My kids were busy with their careers. The days got longer, the nights even longer. I didn't realize how much I needed human connection until it was gone. One of the biggest risks of living alone in old age isn't just loneliness, it's the slow decline of emotional well-being. Studies show that elderly individuals who experience prolonged isolation are at a much higher risk of cognitive decline, depression, and even premature death. The brain, just like the body, needs stimulation. Without conversations, without shared laughter, without emotional connection, the world can start to feel small, and the joy in life begins to fade. But loneliness isn't always about being physically alone. The feeling of being invisible, the hidden struggles of living with family. Now picture another scenario. You live in a full house, grandchildren running around, your adult children managing their own hectic lives, conversations happening in every room. But somehow, despite the noise and chaos, you feel invisible. This is the reality for many older adults who move in with family. Love doesn't always mean inclusion. Sometimes living with family can make a person feel like an outsider in their own home. Take Eleanor, 76, who moved in with her son's family after her husband passed. She thought it would be a new chapter filled with warmth and connection. Instead, she often found herself eating alone in the kitchen, while the rest of the family was too busy to sit down. They love me, I know that, she admitted, but love and attention are two different things. They're always in a rush. Work, school, phones, TV. Sometimes I sit in the living room and realize I haven't had a real conversation with anyone all day. I feel like I've become background noise. One of the hardest parts of aging isn't just physical decline, it's the feeling of being forgotten. While living with family provides safety, security, and love, it can also bring a silent kind of loneliness, the kind where you are surrounded by people but still feel completely alone. A study by the National Institute on Aging found that older adults who feel excluded in their own homes are just as likely to experience emotional distress as those who live alone. Loneliness isn't just about where you live, it's about how connected you feel. Regret and reflection, the questions that haunt us. There's another emotion that creeps in with age, regret. Many older adults, whether they live alone or with family, begin to reflect on their past choices. Did I spend enough time with the people who mattered? Did I prioritize the right things? Should I have done something differently? John, an 82-year-old widower, lives alone in a quiet apartment. His days are filled with memories of the past. The house he and his wife once shared is now just walls and furniture, stripped of the laughter and love that once made it a home. I worked my whole life thinking that retirement would be peaceful, he said. I saved, I planned, but I never thought about the people I would lose along the way. I wish I had spent less time worrying about money and more time making memories with my family. On the other hand, there's Maria, 79, who has lived with her children for the past decade. While she's grateful for the love around her, she sometimes wonders if she sacrificed too much of her independence. I used to travel, I used to explore, I used to have my own routines, she said. Now I fit into their schedules. I love them, but I miss being me. These stories reveal a deep truth. Aging isn't just about physical survival, it's about emotional fulfillment. Whether a person lives alone or with family, the biggest question they face is not where they live, but how they live. A universal fear, What happens when we can't choose? For some, the choice between living alone or with family isn't really a choice, it's a necessity. Health issues, financial struggles, and life circumstances often dictate where we end up. Take Walter, 73, who never wanted to leave his home. His wife had passed, and though he cherished the memories within those walls, his worsening arthritis made daily tasks difficult. One day, he slipped in the shower and spent hours on the floor before a neighbor found him. That moment forced a decision. He had to move in with his daughter. "I was stubborn," he admitted. "I thought I could handle everything on my own. But I learned the hard way that sometimes independence isn't worth the risk." These stories highlight a painful reality. Not everyone gets to choose how they spend their later years. For those who do, the decision should be made not just with logic, but with heart, wisdom, and a vision for what truly brings happiness. Aging isn't just about surviving. It's about living in a way that brings meaning, purpose, and connection. Whether alone or with family, the goal isn't just to exist, but to truly thrive. So, if you had to choose, what would you prefer? Would you rather live alone, embracing independence, or be surrounded by family, cherishing togetherness? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective.